Let's talk a little about the governor's race. It's been an interesting race. Obviously, Stein, the state attorney general, Mark Robinson, the lieutenant governor. So it's been an interesting battle. It was very close early on in this election year. Things have widened quite respectively if you look at the polls. Obviously, we know there can be issues there, but it is an interesting race to watch. A lot of Democrats and Republicans are looking at this to see how North Carolina might go, and other states that are closely battleground states as well.
Yeah, it is interesting to see the polling. You mentioned how it was wide, at least with one of the recent polls that we saw. WRAL was reporting, I think it was a 15-point lead by Stein over Robinson. We did hear, our crews had been talking to both candidates because we have live team coverage, and of course we have candidates stationed at each camp, and it sounded like both candidates, as you alluded to, kind of skeptical of that it would be that wide.
Right.
So that it will be interesting to see how that plays out, if it does play out, or if we do finding that the polling is kind of overstating a lead. Yeah. So Julie Kay, speaking of reporters standing by with camps, we've got her covering Josh Stein. It looks like there's a little bit more activity, as we could see in the preview monitor down here. Yeah. So Julie, how's it going?
You're coming to me right as NBC is projecting the winner to be Josh Stein. So this is an early call from NBC News. You're watching it happen right now. I'll actually step out of frame so you can see people. They are quite active. Now, this is not necessarily a shocker, as you've mentioned, of course. The polls are showing a double-digit lead for Stein. So this is not a huge shocker, but it is definitely an optimistic start for the Democratic Party here in North Carolina. And I already talked to Josh Stein's campaign manager earlier today, and this is the kind of optimism that he was hoping to bring to the campaign and bring to North Carolinians. And you can listen to this soundbite where he talks about how different this campaign was from Mark Robinson's.
Look, we're cautiously optimistic about the outcome of this race. We have built this race on a clear choice for North Carolinians. One, Josh Stein, vision for a safer, stronger North Carolina. Mark Robinson, on the other hand, has built his vision around one of hate and divisiveness, fighting job-killing culture wars. And so we're hopeful that the voters of North Carolina are going to send a clear message that that kind of extremism isn't welcome in the state, and that they're going to choose that vision of safer, stronger North Carolina and moving forward.
That was Jeff Allen. That was Stein's campaign manager. I talked to him about a couple hours ago before this news just came in that Josh Stein was called to be the winner. And I also asked him about priorities. If Stein is to be elected, what is the first thing he would do? Now, Stein has talked repeatedly about wanting to break the supermajority, and has said that being elected governor is the first of many steps to bring balance back to Raleigh and break that supermajority in the legislature. But of course, Allen is saying their first priority is going to bring support to Western North Carolina in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Back to you.
All right, Julie Kay, thank you for that.
It's been a big discussion about Western North Carolina, right? Maybe the charge.
And it will continue to be, let's be honest, for months to come.
Turn out.
Again, though, the big first race of the night called, NBC News calling the governor's race here in North Carolina for Josh Stein. Not a big surprise, but up until today, we heard Mark Robinson say the polls weren't right.
Well, he's been asking people to focus on the actual race, the policy, but it's been hard, obviously, when what's been lingering and the cloud that's kind of overshadowed his campaign. So obviously it looks like the polls were right in that respect.
It was, and we saw this play out on the campaign trail that some of his fellow Republicans started abandoning him.
Yeah.
And I think that once that started happening, it made it harder for him to make the case. Let's go out to Julia Kaufman. She is covering Robinson. It is going to be a very decidedly different atmosphere where she is than where Julie was just a moment ago. Give us a lay of the land there.
Hey guys, it's really quiet here in the main event room of Robinson's watch party, but his supporters, his campaign staff, they're in the other room socializing, I believe, to be a cocktail hour. And we think this room will be really reserved for speeches. We have a ton of news partners in this room who have heard, of course, the race being called for Attorney General Josh Stein. Now, one thing to look at here is both campaigns, Stein and Robinson, said they think the polls might not be as accurate, as in they think it'll be a much closer race than what the polls called for. So that's what we'll be watching now, as Stein is the projected winner. Is how far behind will Robinson trail in those numbers? Will he catch up and kind of close that gap, or will it be a 15-point, 20-point trail behind as those polls showed? So supporters were really holding on to hope. We spoke with his lead campaign chief strategist earlier, who said they were feeling optimistic because of strong turnout in the rural areas, for strong support in western North Carolina, but of course the tune will now be changing. He also told us earlier, despite the results, win or lose, that Robinson was prepared to accept the results from tonight's campaign. So we're hoping to hear from him soon. We're expecting him to make some sort of speech, and we'll be asking him, of course, what's next for him after we see these results certified later on. For now, we'll wait for that speech and for more information, and we'll send it back to you guys for now.
All right, Julia, thank you so much. Yeah, so let's go ahead and check in with the numbers.
Yeah.
Any guesses what we're going to see?
I think we're probably going to see positive numbers for Josh Stein.
There you go. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and see.
Right.
We'll see what the big board has in store for us. Okay, so this is already set up here for, let's see, yep, it's set up on the governor's race here. So we see here with about 500,000 votes coming in for the state of North Carolina, Josh Stein with quite the lead here. So he's coming in with 58% of the votes, 292,772 votes coming in for him. Mark Robinson trailing behind by more than six figures, 37.7% of the vote. Let's go ahead and check and see some of the trends that we are seeing around the state. So, of course, we've got Mecklenburg County, which we know that would expect to go pretty heavily for Josh Stein. So it seems that he is getting 76% of the vote there. Out in the Raleigh area, which we've also expected to see a big lead, 78.8%. Out towards Durham, 87.8%. Chatham County, close to 80% of the vote, and about 82% of the vote in Orange County. Some of the counties we are seeing with Mark Robinson picking up a majority. We've got him with a very slight edge in Rowan County. I mean, 0.3% percentage points here. So that's a super close one that Mark Robinson just barely has the edge out here. Out in the Asheville area, we see a whole lot of blue, of course, which we would expect kind of for that center area around the Asheville Center City, Buncombe County, McDowell County. We do see Mark Robinson with a heftier lead out there. So, yeah, we do see overall with the larger picture here, quite a large lead for Josh Stein. Of course, we can go ahead and check in with this as we get more results. We'll send it back to the news desk. Ben and Colin, y'all are going to be checking in with some of the big topics that we're seeing here today. Yeah,
and I think Ben, Stein's campaign, right? They're not surprised by this.
They're not surprised by this, but I want to urge caution among Democrats out there who are wanting to read a lot into this, because if you look at the early reports, I mean, Stein had such a decisive lead in some of these early votes compared to Robinson. But if you go down some of those other statewide races, whether I'm looking at Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor, Auditor, Commissioner of Ag, Insurance, Labor, all these other statewide Council of State races. Yeah. Right now, Democrats are winning those races, but nothing by the margins that Josh Stein is winning them by. Yeah. So it appears Josh Stein is going to be the next governor of North Carolina. I don't know that we can glean anything else beyond that on some of these other statewide races.
Yeah, some of the other races are going to be pretty close, it seems. It seems.